Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another recent reads because, shocker, we're behind. But I have a lot of books to talk about. This goes pretty far back. I think this goes back into like maybe early May, end of April. So I apologize in advance if I don't remember everything, but I think I do. I think I got it. So let's just get right into the 10 books we're going to talk about today. First up was Happy Place by Emily Henry. I absolutely love Emily Henry. I've read all of her adult romances. I have read some of her YA as well, but her adult romances just work so well for me. And this is definitely pretty high up there on my ranking for hers. I've given all of her books 5 stars, but I can't quite decide if this is either just above or just below Beach Read. People We Meet on Vacation, I think, will forever be my favorite. I just love that one so much. And this is a second chance romance. We are following this couple who was engaged and they never told their friends that they called off their engagement and they split. And now their friends are having their last like summer beach house thing. And when our heroine gets there, she learns that they're selling this house that means a lot to all of them. And so her and her ex-fiance decide not to tell their friends that they broke up because they don't want to ruin this like last week together. And they decide that afterwards they will tell their friends. Things happen and the two of them kind of start to confront some of the things that broke them up. And this is beautifully written. Emily Henry, her writing, like the way that she can mix humor with just these really poignant, heart-wrenching moments is so fantastic. I just love how she can mix those two things together. Like one minute you're laughing at all of these one-liners, and then all of a sudden someone will say something that just feels so profound and like it hits so close to home. And I don't know how she strikes that balance so well. I listened to this one on audio because all of her books are narrated by Julie Whalen, who is just like one of the queen narrators in my opinion. And it was fantastic. I loved it so much. It's definitely like a favorite of mine. All of her books are always favorites of mine. They just hit so well for me. The next thing that I did was I fell down a huge rabbit hole. I read the entire Fake Boyfriend series by Eden Finley, the whole thing from start to finish, just like binge it. 9 books, 9 total books, because I also read all of the novellas as well as like the final little, it's not quite a novella, but like you get like a little chapter thing from each of the couples. So I read 9 books and I read them all on audio because the same like 2 narrators narrate the whole thing. It's Iggy Toma and I can't remember the other one, but I really like Iggy Toma. I just I don't entirely know what happened here. I I had been reading the Puck Boy series and someone said something and I was like, huh, I should read these in order. And then I did. Yeah, so I read all 9 of these. I loved this series a whole lot. I had read book 1 years ago, probably back in like, I don't know, 2017, 2018 maybe. And I just never continued on with it. I downloaded book 2 a couple of times, never ended up reading it, and just kind of forgot about it. I definitely had favorites in here, but overall, I'm giving the series 4 stars. I think I gave every book in this series like somewhere between a 3.5 and a 5 star. And so just I'm gonna average it out and give this entire series a 4 star. I'm not going to talk about all 9 books just because that would be an entire video in itself. We're going to group them all together. And it sent me down a whole rabbit hole where I have since continued on with not just her backlist, but Saxon James's entire backlist as well. And I ended up reading so many of their books that I ran out of Hoopla credits and then got blocked on script. So that's how deep the rabbit hole went. And then I had some DNFs. So I did a video, I want to say it was like right before Mother's Day, where I read some books featuring single moms. It is a competition between the single moms and the single dads to see who does it better, moms or dads. And I DNF'd 2 of the books. So I DNF'd Don't Stop Me by Eden Emery, and I did not like this one at all. Like actively disliked it. I ended up DNFing this at 20%. I hated the writing in here. I hated the characters. I didn't like how our author was building this world because she was just withholding information to build suspense. And it wasn't like you didn't know she was withholding information. She was like actively withholding information from the reader. And I hate when authors do that, when they tell you that they're withholding information. And it's like, that's not fun for me as a reader. And so it kept getting hinted at that like the mother was like a bad person and she had a dark past and all this bad stuff happened. And I was just like, why are you telling me this? And it was written from first person, so it felt even weirder because then you're like, how many people talk about themselves where they're just like, I've done so many bad things in my past. And I'm just like, no one talks like that to themselves. And so it felt really uncomfortable. And then the heroine just kept going along with the situation because her toxic, abusive ex boyfriend is like, you have to come to my mom's house to go to this wedding because I have a picture of you standing outside this discreet sex club. How is that blackmail? Just be like, okay, I don't understand like what she thought was going to happen. You're standing outside of a house because it's not even like it's a club with like something like the name of it. It's just it was somebody's mansion and it's her standing outside the door. And so she just like went along with it. And I just could not fathom why. I just could not. The attraction that the two, like her and the mother, had to each other, it was so intense. And they kept talking about how obsessed they were with each other when they had one like 2 hour night together. It was so bizarre to me. Like it was just so bizarre. Did not like it at all. And then I'm just gonna get the other one out of the way. It was Freeing Her by Anna Stone. I DNF'd to this at 30%. This wasn't bad or anything. I just didn't care about this book. I had no desire to continue reading this book. I literally don't remember the plot of this book. That is how forgettable this was. I think this was the nanny romance. And I didn't. This was another one where I was just like, why do you guys like each other? Like, you've known each other for a whole minute. That's it, like 1 minute. And like, suddenly you guys are like, oh my God, I've just wanted you for so long. And you're like, y'all just met. You just met. And so, like, it was just really, really bland, really forgettable. It didn't bring anything new to the table. I didn't feel their chemistry. It just did a whole lot of nothing for me. But luckily, the duet that I read for that video was the If She Says Yes duet, or She Says Yes. I can't remember. Say Yes duet. I can't remember. By Tasha L. Harrison. I gave the first book, If She Says Yes, 3.5 stars, and I gave the second book, She Said Yes, 4 stars. This had an amazing submissive hero. I love a submissive hero. I keep talking about how I'm going to do a recommendations video. It ended up getting pushed back to June, but it is coming. This one's going to be on the list. I loved that aspect of this romance. This was one that like the love was a little strong in this one. They definitely fell into the L word very quickly in my opinion, but I really liked their chemistry. The steamy scenes were so good. And that second book where they are on vacation together, oh, it was so fantastic. There were so many good things about this book. I loved the characters. I loved how the conflict was addressed in the second book. I liked it a lot. Then I continued on with the Monstera series. I read Moth by Lily Mayne, which I gave 5 stars. This is my favorite book of this series, hands down, by far. I absolutely fucking loved this book. All of these books so far have been really good, but there was something about this one that just hit differently. I don't know what it was, but Moth is a character that we have met like a couple of times throughout the first, I think, 4 books. I want to say this was number 5. And you get glimpses of him, but he's always kind of on the outskirts of everything. And you start learning about why that is in here. And this is a Grumpy Sunshine, opposites attract romance between Moth, who is a half demon, and one of our raiders slash ex-military guys. There's caretaking in this book. You get to watch Moth like slowly thaw to Charlie as he becomes comfortable sharing who he is and his past. You also have a virgin hero, and it just everything about this book just hit so perfectly for me. I loved Moth to death. I loved Charlie to death. The way that Charlie just absolutely worshipped Moth and like wanted to take care of him and protect him from all of the shitty things that has happened to him was so amazing. I loved it a lot. I loved Moth's backstory. I loved how he ended up like tying into the other characters. I'm curious to see where the rest goes from here. I have 2 full-length books left in this series. And then I have a bunch of novellas that I kind of didn't realize existed. I'm excited to catch up with this one because this was so fantastic, and Seraph is next, and I can't wait. And then I went back into my Eden Finley and Saxon James rabbit hole, and I read Power Plays and Straight A's, Face Offs and Cheap Shots, and then Goal Lines and First Times. I gave book 1 3 stars. That one was a reread for me, Power Plays and Straight A's. And that one is just, it's fine. I have since finished the series, and that is easily my least favorite of the whole series. Face-offs and cheap shots and goal lines and first times, I both gave 4 stars. These characters are so much fun. I love how self-aware the series is, because there are some comments that are made where it's just like, is everyone on this team queer? Like, because this follows the same hockey team at the same school. But I thought it was really funny that it was actually acknowledged at one point, because like the entire offensive line ends up coming out at some point and getting a book. I also love that these authors don't abandon a character, like ever. If you have the thought in your head of, I want to know what happens to that person, they will tell you. They will tell you, and I love that so much. Even if it is like a little side note about what happened to them, they do not abandon anyone, and I love it so much. I've really enjoyed this series. I want to say my favorite is coming in the next recent reads from the series, but they were all really good. And if you have read book 1 and you were just kind of meh about it, like I said, the rest of the books are better. Those 2 characters didn't quite do it for me, but the rest of the characters are so good. There is a friends to lovers one that there's something about hockey friends to lovers that it kills me every single time. So, but that is actually it for this round of recent reads. This was a really quick one. I grouped a lot of these together and went through this pretty quickly, and some of these I had already talked about, but if you ever want to stay up to date on my recent reads, since clearly it's not going to happen here anytime this year, you can always follow me over on Instagram, which is always linked down below. That is where you get like the most up-to-date updates on my reading. All of my ratings are always over there. I'm usually sharing what I'm currently reading and things like that. But let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what you thought about them, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!